Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. This is the 1UP Nitro National Series, race number 10 of 25. We are at the beautiful Hillside Speedway in Natick, Massachusetts, and it's a very special track to us. It's a high-banked, 40-degree banked mile oval, and it's going to produce some great racing for us, I'm sure. Alongside me in the booth today is Duke Ansack, as always, and this track is something very unique. It's the highest bank track we'll go to on the 1UP's Nitro National Series calendar, and it's full of high-speed racing and full of high tire wear, so what are you going to be keeping an eye out for as this race progresses with that in mind?
Well, it's definitely going to be about who is able to control how much tire wear they experience during this race. It's going to be about saving your stuff and making it to the end of the runs as the fastest car. Now, it's also going to be a little bit of strategy at the end of the runs as well, with short pitting and whatnot. And it's going to also have to do with track position, just like any other race. So the people who are starting up front are going to have a better chance of being up front in the end when it matters. So it's going to be interesting to see who is able to do that and who maybe will come from the back after saving their stuff a little bit.
And looking at the starting lineup, you can see the cars that started up front. Sam Donotto gets another pole position. He gets his another pole position for this season, and alongside him, Jared Jackson in the 23. He was the pole sitter last time out at Denver. Looking back at the rest of the field, Roberto Crown Jr. back in the Nitro National Series, starting third, ahead of Dylan Young in fourth. Aaron Hall rounds out the top five. And then your two guys, 6 and 7. Is a lot of expectations, I'm sure, for a race of high attrition like this. What are you going to be expecting to see?
It's going to be just like any other race. I expect to see the guys that are starting up front and that are leading the points just kind of be up front. You know, they're all kind of right there except for Alexa Lutchen, who is still in this little slump. You know, she's starting farther back in the pack, and it's just interesting to me that all of the people that are around her in the points are doing really well, and they're starting up front in this race, and she is still in the back. So I guess I'm going to have my eyes on Alexa Lutchen, and I'm going to expect all of those people that are up front to have good days again. And if they don't, then it's going to be a big points day for whoever does have a good day.
And with that being said, the cars are lined up in the grid, and we are ready to bring you the action from Hillside Speedway. This is the 1UP Nitro National Series, and the green flag is coming right up next. Pace car's already off, and Sam Donotto and Jared Jackson take us to the green flag. We are underway at Hillside Speedway, and the field roars off into the first corner, this high-banked speedway, and Sam Donotto's making a move, but Roberto Crown Jr. is getting underneath him for the race lead. This will get interesting as they head into turn 3.
Yeah, this track really allows you to go 2 and 3 wide pretty easily. I mean, the banking is just so incredibly high. I saw farther back in the pack, they went 3 wide, no problem at all going into turn 1. And Sam Donotto is starting to pull out to a little bit of a lead here.
Yeah, he cleared Crown off the high side. These are both Toyotas, but from different organizations. So no team orders here. As Donotto takes it around turn 3 and 4, he will lead lap number 2 as just as he did lap 1, ahead of Roberto Crown Jr., with Alex in the 3 right behind him, trying to fend off Aaron Hall in 4.
Yeah, Alex actually just got by Aaron Hall, and he's starting to drive down Roberto Crown Jr. in second place in that 18 car now. We'll see. I'm curious to find out in this race if the bottom lane has a distinct advantage over the top lane, because there's so much banking that having the shorter distance might not actually make that much of a difference for these drivers going around the track. It might be better to just send it off into the middle high side that we see most of these drivers doing. We'll see, though. It looks like the 18's getting a really good run on the bottom right now. He might go for the lead.
Yeah, don't know if it'll stick, though. As lap 5 gets underway, Sam Donotto holds him off. I do imagine a lot of these cars will be running this middle groove for the majority of the day. It's just where the cars are more comfortable running, and it looks like the top 4, at least, are running in single-file formation at the front. Jared Jackson as well slipped to 5th at the start, but he's in single-file order as well. In fact, the first side-by-side battle looked to be completely outside the top 10, as Donotto rockets down the back straightaway, quite literally in his nasty Toyota, as the field cycles through lap 6. Sam Donotto's led them all.
Yeah, and every once in a while, it looks like Roberto Crown Jr. starts to get up and like he's almost there, able to make the move, and then he's not really able to, and he falls back again, kind of like a flow situation with that 18 car right now. But Sam Denotto has a commanding lead, and he's just able to hold it every single time.
That is true, but as Sam Denotto continues to lead, it's Roberto Crown Jr. chasing him, Alex in third, Aaron Hall fourth, Jared Jackson rounds out the top five, with Ryan Caggiano running sixth. He was 39 37th, I should say, in practice. So that 81 car is really trying to prove that was a fluke, and he's trying to. And he's doing it so far. He's running in sixth position, but it's just very tough to pull off the level this field is at. And how about Zachary DeLello in this 03 car? Hasn't had the best season. He switched teams midway through. But this Team Dayspring car is actually running in the top 10 on merit, right behind Elijah Ironhouse. A pretty good run out of 03.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and this is a really tough track for any driver. You know, it's tough in the same way that Bristol and Dover are tough in that you're just sending it into the corner way harder than you feel like you should be. For driving any car, you just feel like, I mean, sailing it off into the corner is just like nothing else, because you can carry all this speed and then the car just grabs the track and just sends you right around. I mean, it's an experience like none other, really, and it's tough, just like Dover and Bristol in that sense, and it's hard to really be able to make moves and pass people at a track like this, because you're so focused on driving the car and making sure that you're not hitting the wall or hitting the apron or missing your line, and much less trying to race around other cars. You know, it's all really difficult for these drivers. So it's impressive that they've been able to be so clean so far in this race. I was expecting a couple more crashes, to be completely honest, you know, but they're really single filed out, and they're looking really good right now.
Yes, with Alex chasing after Roberto Crown Jr., or all chasing after Sam Denotto, who's led the first 12 laps, and he's going to continue to lead up to lap 13. As coming off of 4, Alex has a bit of a peak on Crown, but he stays in line for the time being. I think that's a good decision, just to hang out there, wait for Roberto Crown Jr.'s tires to fall off, and then make the pass. Because really, you're going to really want to have your tires under you for a possible final stretch that could lead to several restarts, because you never know what will happen here at this high bank close-up.
Yeah, and the tires just wear a ton, because think about the loads that are on the tires in these corners. I mean, they're going almost full throttle through these corners, and the amount of downforce that you get in the corner is incredible, and that's just only stressing the tires to the point of needing to be fixed, and they're just wearing and degrading so quickly in the corners. It's incredible. It's not really that they're sliding around at a track like Iowa or like maybe like a New Hampshire or something, where they're sliding around more, or even a road course does that too. But this track, it's just that the tires are under so much pressure in the corners that they degrade.
Yeah, and with Sam Denotto continuing to lead the way, it's going to be interesting to see whose tires will last the longest here. Sam Denotto's had a pretty solid day so far. He's led every lap, of course, but he's had a pretty steady lead, and his only win of the season came at a track very different to this at Las Vegas. Although it could be comparable in a sense that you're going at very high speeds at such close quarters racing, that Sam Denotto could think that having an edge here would be a good thing when we head back to Las Vegas later on.
Yeah, you know, Las Vegas is one of those tracks I've always thought that the cars that do well at Las Vegas are probably the cars that are doing well in the season as a whole, you know, and Sam Denotto has had his fair share of bad luck this season, where he probably should have 3 or 4 wins at this point, but he got a couple taken away from him by bad circumstances. You know, so obviously he is having a really good season. This is another track where it's a lot of raw speed that's going to keep you up front. And of course we see that 00 car up front again, just like usual. That car is just really fast everywhere we go.
And just like that, a fifth of the race has gone by already. with Sam Donotto leading the charge from Roberto Kern Jr., Alex Forget-Perub in third, Aaron Hall, Jared Jackson rounding out the top 5. Then it is Ryan Caggiano, Dylan Young, Elijah Ironhouse, Zachary DeLello, and Eric Monaco rounding out the top 10. As Sam Donotto barrels it off into turn 3, the lap times are already starting to pick up a little bit. These cars are going to have to make a stop at least once in this race for fresh tires. They may even want to split this race into thirds at the rate the tires are falling off of.
Yeah, you know, it would be an interesting thing to split it into thirds here. I'd be curious to see if anybody does that, just because it's a risky strategy. It just all depends on how far off the tires fall and how slow the cars become, and if you're able to go that much faster and gain back the time that you lose from having those 2 pit stops. It's a really long pit road. It wraps around turn 1 here, so you're going to have a lot of time that you're in the pit lane, going at the speed limit of the pit lane, you know, so which is significantly slower than the track speed. So, you know, it's just going to be interesting to see what strategies are taken, and then of course where the cautions fall, if there are any, because that will impact everybody's strategy in a way. So who knows what's going to happen. I'm so excited to see it. We're approaching a quarter through this race though.
Yeah, and if there's if there's one thing you don't want to have happen in this race, you don't want to get the caution flag after you've made your green flag pit stop, because you will lose several laps on pit road here. And if you're stuck 2 laps down, it's not impossible to get back into this race, but it'll just be very difficult to achieve that. As we see the battle for second continuing through the rest of the field, see where your favorite driver is running in today's race. But right now, it's the Sam Donotto show out front. He's led a quarter of the race already.
Yeah, and it looks like one of my 2 favorite drivers is running 3rd place right now, holding strong. That 3 car is. He's sitting there right now. I'm curious about what these guys are going to do for strategy. You know, it's interesting. Everybody that's not Sam Donotto has got to be thinking right now, man, what am I going to do for strategy here? How am I going to beat Sam Donotto? Should I do something different than Sam Donotto? Because if you follow him, that's all you're going to do. You're just going to follow him. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody tries to short pit the 0-0 car. How long they're going to go anyway, because when you pit, you're in the danger zone, like you were talking about. If the caution comes out after you pit and before the leader pits, then you're going to be stuck, and that's not a place that anybody is able to get out of very easily. So it's going to be fascinating to see exactly what happens here. And we might have a move for 2nd place. I thought better of it. Good call, Alex. He's going to just stay behind that 18 car for now. Wait until the pit stop happens, then start the charge back up here.
Yeah, even if you pit only 1 lap ahead of the car you're trying to undercut, that will still earn you quite an advantage as you work your way through the pit lane, out of the pits, and back to the racetrack on fresh tires. Because you can see that the speeds are slowing down quite a bit, especially the cornering speed, and that in turn hampers your top speed down the straights as well. Because at top speed, you can go 170 miles per hour around these corners, but that slows down by almost 50 miles per hour by the time the cars finish.
Yeah, and that's a ton of time. It really is. And that would be the justification for doing 2 stops in this race as opposed to just 1. Because then you're only going to spend a lot less time in that really slow zone in comparison to the cars that only stop once. So it's going to be fascinating to see if anybody tries it. We're coming up on 1/3 in about a lap or so here. So we're going to see if anybody does it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I hope that somebody tries it. Maybe somebody farther back in the pack. Maybe in the back of the top 10. Even Elijah Ironhouse sitting there in 8th. That might be a good contestant to try that strategy. You know, and everybody from there on back, you know, you got to do something different. This race really has a green flag feel to it, and if you're not going to win on strategy, then you're not going to win. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see what Sam Donotto does as well.
Coming around 3 and 4 to complete lap 33, we'll be at a 1/3 distance of this race when we cross the stripe. But Sam Donotto is stretching his lead out quite a bit, actually, over the rest of the field. We'll check once the scoring pylon gets back up to the top 10. We will check and see how far ahead that gap is. But it's getting to the point where you can't even see Roberto Graham Jr. or Alex Dvorak in the 3 behind him. You can only really see him for a few seconds before they disappear once again. So Sam Denotto is doing a very good job at dominating this race. He's led all 34 laps so far, and it could be a shutout. I don't think it'll be a shutout by any means, considering the pit lane here, and considering the prevalence of yellow flags that could come up, but it could be, and that'll be great for Sam Denotto, and it won't be great for everyone else.
Yeah, you know, and right now Sam Denotto he's spanking everybody right now. I mean, he drove out front. He was able to kind of hold back and be with those people, though ahead of them, everybody behind him. And now, at the end of the run where you want to be better than everybody, he started to pull away. So, you know, Sam Denotto might have saved his stuff, and he's just turning them on right now. We've gotten pretty far past the 1/3 distance, and I don't believe anybody is pitted. I'm not sure. But it looks like everybody's going to maybe try and push it to halfway here. And for Sam Denotto, that's all good stuff. And this is some crazy racing right here. We've got 3 cars under a blanket and the 8 car following, 2 wide down the front stretch, and now we're 2x2. This is incredible.
Yeah, Jared Jackson, ooh, that was close. Jared Jackson almost had a bit of an issue, though, with Dylan Young, as now he falls from 5th in the race all the way back to the 8th position. And
speaking of issue, do you think that there's something wrong with that car?
I believe he's definitely slowing on the racetrack. You can see Zach Rogers and Zachary DeLello have caught Jared Jackson, so definitely not on pace at where he was early in the run. But we'll see. It's not nearly as bad as we've seen other cars this weekend off the pace. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll keep an eye on this 23 car for a while, as the battle for the lead has pretty much been settled in favor of Sam Denotto. But we'll keep an eye on Jared Jackson, as now DeLello and Rogers seem to have found their way around them as well.
Yeah, I was curious for a moment there if maybe that momentum that he had just lost was the reason that he fell back. But now that he's getting passed so quickly by those other 2 cars, I'm not sure if it's more of an issue. He might be down a cylinder right now or something. It's a little bit hard to tell, but yeah, that car is definitely not running as well as it was before.
And you can see Eric Monaco catching him now. And he's made contact with the wall as well. Wow. That is going to cost him at least 10 spots in Monaco, and it'll cost him 11th to Daly, and it might cost him more to Earl Sear as well. So Jared Jackson is definitely falling off pace, and that wall contact certainly didn't help. He's now running in 12th.
Yeah, he's not having a good time right now. Maybe it's his tires are just really, really worn, and they're telling him to stay out there. They might want to pit him right now, get him out there in fresh tires and see what happens. You know, if you can only make it 40 laps on your tires, then you might want to try a 2-stopper here, just on the 20 last stage there, or maybe split it 30 and 30 from here on out. But they're keeping him out there for now. This is not looking good for that 23 car, because he's stacking people up behind him.
Yeah, he's got Sear back there. He's got Kyle Corbett, Cook, Hutchins back there. And you can see now Kyle Corbett's going to try and ring around the high side and try and find a way around, but stays in line for now as we start lap 45. This race is already taking quite a turn for Jared Jackson, not in the way he wanted.
No, not at all. And they're starting to try to get creative to get around him, and he's pulled away a little bit as they got side by side behind him, but they need to find a way around him quick, because they're losing time to everybody else. And now we have a new visitor in this front, well, not really the front group, but the front grouping in second and end on back. The 8 car has caught up to them. But here we watch Sam Denotto just absolutely dominate this field. He is more than 2 seconds ahead at this point. We're approaching halfway, and I don't see anything stopping him as of right now.
I might see someone stopping him, and that's the 27 of John McFadden. He is the last car on track right now, and he could present an issue to Sam Denotto. If you hold him up enough, that'll draw in Crown and Alex and Aaron Hall and everybody. You know, it's drawing right up to him. So Donato needs to get past this 27 really quick, is what I'm saying, if he wants to stay in the lead.
Yeah, and you know, Sam Donato has had his fair share of issues with lappers this season so far. In fact, he did in the beginning of the season at Pensacola. You know, at the end of the race, that was one of the wins I believe he should have had that was taken away due to a lap car. So we'll see how he's able to handle this 27 car. And a little bit farther up the road, I saw 4 cars 2 by 2, and I'm sure that Sam Donato does not want to see that any longer. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's Jose Guerrero, AJ Jones is up there. There's a lot of cars for Sam Donato to try and lap, but the gap between him and Crown has stayed pretty stagnant throughout this. So it'll be interesting to see once they cross the stripe if the lead shrinks at all, and it did by 3/10.
Oh wow!
So the gap is now down to 2 seconds, down to 2.3. And now Donato is basically pushing McFadden up to that pack of cars you were mentioning earlier, AJ Jones, Jose Guerrero, and the rest. So now Donato's going to try and go around the outside of McFadden. I'm not sure if this is going to work. I think it should. And the gap's going down by another few tenths. That pack behind Sam Donato is closing in. And the longer he stays behind John McFadden, the worse off he'll be.
This would probably be a really good time for Sam Donato to make a pit stop, I'd say, because if he pits right now, he won't have to deal with the lap cars anymore. He'll have undercutted everybody. He knows he can make it to lap 50 easily because we're on lap 51 right now. There's less than the amount of time that he's gone on this tank of fuel and these tires left in the race. There's more rubber on the tracks, therefore less tire wear, and I think that this would be a great time for him to pit. Well, he's losing time for the first time to those behind him in this race. We'll see if he's pitting.
And it doesn't look like it, no. He stays on the racetrack behind John McFadden. Let's see how much the gap closes this time. It looks like another tenth has gone down the drain. So Donato, this is almost like a Formula One strategy where you catch the back end of the field right when you come into the pits to save time to not have to lap anybody, and instead you just pit and save time from lapping people. Of course, you will have to lap people eventually, but we're getting to a point now where the gap is shrinking by a lot. You can see
significantly. It's almost down to 1 second.
Yeah, Roberto Crown Jr. is gaining, and Alex is gaining as well. In fact, everybody back to Ryan Caggiano in 7th is gaining time on Sam Donato. This is going to be an interesting battle because you can see the cars are almost going in slow motion. The tires are worn so badly. And let's see. Oh my God, that was half a second Crown just took out. This is really hurting Sam Donato.
He has got to pit right now, and I bet you that as soon as these guys behind him get to Sam Donato, they're going to dive into the pit lane because they know that they need to get their fresh tires and beat Sam Donato that way. And this is going to help them so much by gaining all this time on him right now, right before the pit cycle. I mean, it's going to be a 5-car battle for the win coming out of the pits. And if Sam Donato loses the lead, obviously he's not very good in traffic. So this could be really, really interesting, and maybe another race kind of washed away for Sam Donato. We'll see.
As they come off of turn 4, the complete lap 55, the gap has shrunk once again down to half a second. Roberto Crown Jr. is closing in. But look at how slow they're going through this corner. It just shows that the heavy tire wear on these cars. Lap times are upwards of 25 seconds when the pole time for this race was a 20.17. So these cars are nowhere near as fast as they can go right now. But Donato is hanging tough in this lead, but his gap is shrinking every lap.
I genuinely think that of these first
we got a problem on pit road. I hate to interrupt you, but Zach Rogers, he was running in the top 10. He was running in the 9th position, and now his day is done like that. And it looks like Earl Sears had some trouble as well. He's on pit road, and the caution is out. This changes everything. On lap 57, Sam Donato was just about to pass the lead, and now this gap, the gaggle of cars. Earl Sears, the cause of this yellow flag. Keon Daly and Jerry Cook, they were on pit road as the caution came out. So this could shift the balance either in their favor or heavily against their favor. We'll have to figure out which one that is. But right now, yeah, now you can see everybody's going to come to pit road under yellow, and this will be their pit stop for the day.
Yeah, you know, when you interrupted me, I was about to say I think the first person that pits has a really good chance of winning this race. Well, the caution comes out, totally eliminates that. But if those cars that were in the pit lane, if they weren't a lap down, they have a genuinely good chance of leading and possibly winning this race. So we'll see after they come out, after it all cycles out, we'll see where they are. And it's going to be interesting to see how these guys do. It looks like Sam Donotto is probably going to have the best bet coming off of the pit road. He gets in the pits first, and he's sitting there in the first stall looking really good, and he's probably going to get the lead.
Yeah, we're monitoring this race off pit road, and it looks like Donotto will be first out, unless Crown has a whale of a stop. But no, Donotto will clear and get out of the pits ahead of Roberto Crown Jr. Alex comes out third, and then the rest of the field cycles out behind that. Dylan Young looks like he had a bit of a slow stop. He loses a couple spots there. But as the rest of the field cycles out, we will take a look at what happened to Earl Sear that put him out of this race on lap 57. Here at Hillside Raceway. Earl Sear is making his way around turn 4. I think he's going to make a late decision to come in, and I think he should have just aborted this. Yeah.
Oh, no!
Yep, that was a rookie mistake out of Earl Sear, and that has ended his day on lap 57. That was a tough hit. You can see him coming through. He's made a very late decision to come in. You can see Keon Daly. He made the decision way earlier, and from there, he should have just turned right and just continued on for a lap. It's better to lose a little bit of time than to have your race end. As you see Zach Rogers pull out of the race right in front of him. So that was a tough break for Earl Sear. It happens sometimes. You take those risks, you make those decisions, and eventually it'll get you. As we're coming to the restart with Sam Donotto is still your leader, but these three are just in front of him at the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, and look at all of those three drivers that pitted right before the caution. Or am I wrong? They're all a lap down?
No, they're all on the tail end of the lead lap.
Okay.
As Justin Hutchinson exits the pits, that will send everybody up high.
Oh my goodness.
But right now, it looks like Donotto will keep his lead for the time being. But he's forced high by Jerry Cook, and that's going to allow Crown to get to his inside. Could we see the first lead change of the day on lap 63? Yes, we will. Roberto Crown Jr. is moving up to the point. He takes the lead from Sam Donotto.
This is crazy. They're all racing in dirty air right now with those people who are on the tail end of the lead lap. And it looks like Sam Donotto, he's stuck on the outside lane right now, the shorter way around, or the longer way around, which makes it worse for him. And he's going to lose yet another spot now to the 3 car.
So Roberto Crown Jr. takes the lead of this race. He is looking for his first win in any of the 1UP Sanctioned Series. He's a regular in the 1UP Superstar Series. But he runs a few races here and there in this series as a benefit to his team owner in both series, Jared Polanski. In this 18 car, he splits with the Polanski brothers for the course of the season. So Crown is leading away right now and is looking for his first win. But I don't know. I still wouldn't count on Sam Donotto, even if he's back in third. He's got something to do with losing this lead on the restart.
Yeah, and you have to remember how much better he was than everybody else in the long run. He just drove away from everybody. So we'll see if Sam Donotto is able to do that again, except pass them in the long run this time. But for now, I'm curious to see how this battle for the lead has changed as what it was before, now that they're all in dirty air. There's 4 cars ahead of these guys that are just punching this massive hole and causing this huge wake in the air, and none of these cars are handling it very well at all, even the leader. So we're going to see if that impacts this 18 car at all and allows maybe the 3 and the 00 to get through.
Yeah, let's see, because here he comes underneath Jerry Cook. This will put the 72 a lap down here. Looks like Cook has a bit of a run on the high side, but Crown is still fighting. Here comes Sam Donotto, though, and in a Team Duke sandwich right now, trying to get around that 3 with Aaron Hall. Ooh, that was a shot job from Elijah Ironhouse on Aaron Hall there. But Donato is through to second, and it looks like it's going to be a battle between your two boys for third place.
Yep, just be careful.
So it looks like these two are going to stay side by side, coming off of 4. Oh, Aaron Hall is going to try. Was going to try and make it 3 wide, but he fought better of it, of course. These are the examples of those risks you take, like Earl Sear tried to do, and it didn't work for him. And by not taking that risk, Aaron Hall may live to fight another day. As Sam Donato closes in on Roberto Crown Jr., we have 30 laps to go here at Hillside.
30 laps to go. It doesn't sound like a lot of laps for a 100-lap race, but it really is. You know, that's more than half of the tire run that they're going to have to go on here. And, you know, we're just going to see if Sam Donato is able to keep that same amount of speed he had before. Everybody is still in dirty air. They have not been able to pass any of those lappers, which makes me think that passing is just really difficult now. We did see Sam Donato pass by the 3 car and get around quite easily, so could it happen again with the leader? Sure, we're about to find out because Sam Donato is right on the bumper.
Yeah, and he's going to make a move, I assume, coming up in a short while, but he just doesn't have the opportunity to make that run. As now, it's 2 Toyotas leading 2 Chevrolets leading 2 more Toyotas, then Alexa Lutchins Ford. So it's a very Noah's Ark style battle for position here. Donato once again tries to make a move on their crown, but it doesn't look like it'll work.
You know, and I do want to mention that Alexa Lutchins has come up through the pack from a pretty tough starting position.
Yeah, she started 18th today.
Yeah, so that's a gain of 11 positions right there in a track that we've seen it's so tough to pass people. So good on that 50 car for turning something that could have been a bad day into so far a solid day. Really good job there.
And how about Giovanni Pena in the 99? He started back in 17, and now he's cracked the top 10. That would be his first top 10 in Nitro National Series competition if he can hold on to it. As is Zachary DeLello hanging in there in 8th position. Be interesting to see that bright yellow Dollar General Chevrolet hanging tough in 8th position. As Roberto Crown Jr. continues to lead the way, we've got a quarter of this race left to go, and it'll be over in a flash considering how fast these laps go by. But for Roberto Crown Jr., it can't come soon enough with Sam Donato breathing down his neck like this.
Yeah, and you know, it's not just Sam Donato, it's everybody else as well. If that 18 makes one mistake and slides up high, I think he's going to lose probably 3 or 4 positions before he's able to get back to that middle lane that they've all been running. So, you know, it's going to be all about consistency here, and I'd bet you that Roberto Crown Jr. is intentionally not attempting to pass that 72 car because he knows if it doesn't go right, he's going to get passed for the lead, which is a lot more important than putting the lapper 1 lap down.
That is true, and the lead has pretty much stayed the same. Oh, Donato sends it in really deep there. Will it gain him time on Crown? I imagine it will, but it also sends him up the racetrack a little bit. And the gap has gone down a tiny amount. It's down to about a 10 between these two. It's a pretty close battle, but there's still 4 cars up ahead of these guys. Like you said, punching that big hole in the air, creating a big wake behind them that will certainly be... These guys will not be handling their greatest because they're stuck in dirty air without any way of getting around them pretty much. Like you said, if Crown takes a risk and tries to get around Cook, that'll risk him getting passed by Donato, by Alex, by Ironhouse, by a lot of cars. As Donato tries to make a move on the inside, here he comes, but I don't know if it'll be enough.
Alex is trying to go for 3 wide. They're all back out of it, though.
Good on them, because that could have been a big wreck. They took out a lot of the leaders right there. But right now, with 20 laps to go, it looks as though Roberto Crown Jr., Sam Donato, and the Team Duke twosome are going to try and settle this race between them. Aaron Hall playing a supporting role in 5th. But right now, it's his teammate Sam Donato that's in the real trouble, because he's still yet to get around Crown.
Yeah, you know, and something interesting that I'm just starting to think about is that the 18, the 3, the 8 have all been running in dirty air for this entire race. And Sam Donato led the first half of the race in mostly clean air until he got to the lappers. So he's got a lot less experience with how his car handles and how everything feels in the dirty air. So that could be part of what is going on in that 00 car. He's still trying to get a handle on how exactly his car is handling differently and what kind of stuff he has to work with as far as being able to pass the team.
So, we're closing in on 15 to go. Roberto Kern Jr. continues to lead in that Toyota for Kings Motorsports. The next highest Kings Motorsports car is Ryan Caggiano at 6. They have 2 cars in the top 10. So does the Kona Racing System. They've got 2 cars in the top 5, actually. So, good effort from both those teams as they try and battle it out for the points lead. Right now, going into this race, I believe Alex had the slimmest of points leads. I believe it was only about 6 points over Sam Donotto. So, if Donotto can win this race, or even finish second and have Alex finish further behind, that will allow Sam Donotto to take the points lead, potentially.
Yeah, Alex was only 6 points ahead of Sam Donotto in the standings, so this is a critical battle for these two in this race right now because of the fact that they're not only battling for position on the track, but they're battling for position on the standings chart as well. So this is a really important thing, and now the 18 is backed off of it. He was trying to pass the 72 there, and it didn't work out. And here comes Sam Donotto pushing at the. Oh my gosh, he's right there. Is there going to be contact? Oh my god.
They're pushing each other down the front straightaway to start lap 88, and we're making our way to the end of this race, and it's still anybody's guess who's going to win it. Roberto Kern Jr. heading to the field, Sam Donotto right behind him. If these two have a little ding-dong and ruin their race, that'll allow Alex and Elijah Ironhouse to maybe take another Team Duke 1-2. We'll see. But right now, it's still the 2 Toyotas out in control of this one.
Yeah, you know, and there just hasn't been a ton of passing. I mean, the 8 car drove up from, I think he was down to 7th place at one point, and he drove up to 4th right now, plus the help of the caution and those lappers that were slowing down Sam Donotto. And then we saw Sam Donotto pass Alex in the 3. But other than that, we have not seen a ton of passing within the front of the group. And as you can see, the whole top, 7 or 8 cars are all white nose to tail. So if there's a time to pass people, it's right now. And we've got 10 laps to go. This is going to get exciting.
Coming to 10 laps to go, that's time. And Sam Donotto is going to try and make another attempt at it. He's got to go soon. We're in the final 10 laps, and they will go by in a big hurry. So if they have anything left, but it looks like Sam's trying to back off a little bit, try and get a bit of a run on the 18, almost like a super speedway type of approach. I'm not sure how well it'll work, but he's going to give it a shot and hope that Roberto Kern Jr. is held up by this lap traffic a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm just so impressed with these guys that been able to do this whole race so far without really crashing into each other on the track. Of course, we saw Earl Sear nail the end of the pit road there, but that wasn't really due to on track, racing with other cars. It was just a slide and a bang there. But I'm really impressed with how well these guys have been able to race around each other without making a lot of contact and causing big crashes, because it is a really tough track to get around.
Got a couple cars on pit road. They may have been short on.
And here comes Sam Donotto
Going for the lead as Brett Bishop peels off the pit. Sam Donotto takes the lead as both of the Moto Dash racing cars hit pit road. Jared Jackson and Felix Anderson, they were short on fuel. They did not get it full on the pit stop. This just leaves me curious to see if anybody else is going to have to come in at this rate. Because now, see, Alex has gotten past Roberto Kern Jr. Oh, here comes Jerry Cook into the pits. So now, with less lap cars ahead, now the question is, for these final 6 laps, you see Chris Lattimore coming into the pits, you see Brett Bishop coming out, and yeah, a lot of cars now exiting the pits. So, who's gonna save enough? Who packed that thing full on the pit stops? I hope Sam Donotto will be able to. Otherwise, this will be another one that went away for him.
Yeah, and you know what? Alex in the 3 car has gained a lot on Sam Donotto since that pass happened and they both got by the 18. He caught right back up and he's on the bumper now. I don't think that this race is quite over yet.
Still have 5 laps to go, and anything's still possible as John McFadden pulls off.
Goodness.
That was a close shave for Sam Donotto and the leaders, and Keon Daly as well, despite being on the tail end of the lead lap. He's still doing a good job hanging on to it. But
Yeah.
I don't think Sam Donotto wants to pass the 52. He really just wants to keep the 3 car behind him because he has no buffer car in this case. And look at, there's only 19 cars on the lead lap now. You come to 3 laps to go. A lot of cars are making pit stops late here. And I think, yeah, Zachary DeLello is among them. He just came
Oh, no. Oh, what a great day he had going. Just gone down the drain. That's it.
His first top 10 in the Nitro National Series has gone up in smoke. And we're coming to 2 laps to go, and it's still these 2 cars battling for victory. Which one will take it? 2 laps left.
This is really fascinating because the 3 car is still right there on his bumper. We're going to just have to see. I mean, this 00 has been able to lead this whole race every single time he's been in the lead. He hasn't gotten past on track. So we're just going to have to see if he is able to keep it here with only 1 lap left.
White flag in the air one more time around from Hillside, and Sam Donotto is trying to get his 2nd win of the season to match his teammate Aaron Hall atop the all-time win list with 2 wins. And as they round turns 3 and 4 for the final time, he's going to fend off the charge from Alex Berget-Barub, and Sam Donotto rounds turn 4 for the final time, and he will be your winner after a wild finish at Hillside that saw a lot of the field pit at the final few laps, and the end result is a very jumbled up top 10, with Alex coming home 2nd. Looks like Elijah Ironhouse was one of the cars that pitted at the end, so he will not finish in the top 5, but Roberto Kern Jr. will. He'll finish 3rd after leading 30 laps today. Aaron Hall comes home 4th, ahead of Ryan Caggiano, who completes the top 5. Ahead of Dylan Young in 6th. Nikki Martinez, we didn't mention her a single time all day, but she comes home 7th ahead of Christian Russell in 8th, able to grow in 9th, and Keith Hughes, who started 38th today, rounds out the top 10 in that Busch Chevrolet. That was a interesting battle for the victory, and a lot of cars just couldn't make it on fuel. Alexa Luxon was one of them. Elijah Ironhouse was among them. Jared Jackson. A lot of cars couldn't make it on fuel, and the results show it. A very jumbled up top 10 at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's going to shake up the points as well. So it's going to be fascinating to look at the points after this race. But boy, what a race here at Hillside. I mean, that was exciting from start to finish, I'd say. And it's just such a fast track, and watching the cars go around the banking is just something amazing to watch. It's just absolutely incredible, mesmerizing almost. So, congratulations to Sam Donotto. He pulled this one off. He looked like maybe he was going to lose it for a while there, but he was able to get back up there, and it was a really good win, a dominating day. And I'm excited for the next race,
which will come in 2 weeks' time. We have an off week for both series coming up next week, but after that, while the Superstar Series heads to Pocono Raceway, the Nitro National Series heads to nearby Pittsburgh and the Steelback Stadium for race number 11 of their season on a short track arena, which we'll be looking forward to seeing that one as well. So from Duke Anzac and from myself as well, we say goodbye from the Hillside Raceway, and congratulations to Sam Donotto. He gets win number 2 here on the high banks of Hillside.